Episode number 3 of the Lifestylepreneur podcast. This interview is with Scott Smith, a veteran podcaster, and he's going to talk about how to create a solid 6-figure business from podcasting alone. Welcome to the Lifestylepreneur podcast. I'm your host, Kris Gilbertson, and I'm an author, speaker, and an expert on how to help you launch your own successful podcast. And the reason I designed this show is to help you create a business that allows you to live the lifestyle of your dreams. Tune in every Friday as I'll be interviewing top experts and lifestylepreneurs from all over the world who will share with you actionable training and advice to give you the insider track on taking your business to the next level. I'm going to work really hard for you to pull out the most incredible nuggets of training from all of these experts. And the best part, it's all free just for you. And be sure to join us at www.lifestyleacademy.com and subscribe to receive your free 3-part mini podcast course to help you launch your own podcast and on your way to generating free leads, traffic, and sales on autopilot and creating the platform for your lifestyle business. Plus, I'll also be sending you the cliff notes from the best trainings on the podcast, delivered right to your inbox to make it easy for you to implement these strategies and move forward in your business. Now, let's get started. Well, welcome everybody. I'm so excited for my guest today. His name's Scott Smith, and he's the founder of motivationtomove.com. And he really is the podcast pioneer. He started his career off in radio as a radio personality, and he spent over 25 years as a disc jockey. And you're probably going to recognize his voice because he's been all over the place. He's been on Golf Channel, ESPN, CNN, Fox, just about every major broadcast channel. And what's great is he launched his podcast in the early 2004 and has created a phenomenal business based on Simply His podcast, his Motivation to Move, and the Daily Boost podcast, which is in the top 10 in the iTunes marketplace for podcasts. So I want to welcome Scott. So how are you doing today?
Awesome, but not to start with a correction, but I think we're number 3 today. Just saying. Okay?
Just say, hey, absolutely.
Not that it really matters at all. Top 10 matters for sure, but yeah, I'm just saying. Anyway, I'm awesome. How are you today?
I'm excellent. I'm so excited to have you here. So
good.
I want you to start with your story and how you got started in the radio world and it, took off there.
I was a shock jock. I've gone from hurting people to helping people, I guess. One of those lucky guys who in high school knew exactly what I wanted to do. I was going to be in radio. And I remember walking into a radio station when I was about 16 years old. I couldn't have been younger because I drove there. I walked in, and one day I said, I'd like to see your public file. And everybody went crazy. Now, if you're in radio, you understand that public file is something the FCC requires you to keep on hand at all times, available for public inspection. Well, that got their attention. They came down, here's the 16-year-old boy. He said, what are you doing? I said, well, I want to get into radio. And so I thought, what better way to learn about radio than to read your public file? And they said, well, how about just like be an intern or something like that instead? And so I jumped in and went from there, went to broadcast school, was a baby DJ, went to Brown Institute down in Fort Lauderdale in 1978. Went from there into Fuquay Arena, North Carolina, a small town to smaller town. Went to Jupiter, Florida, then finally hit big time in Tallahassee FM. And from there I did Miami, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., major market morning shows for a lot of years. And then decided that I kind of want to do some other things. So I never gotten out of radio entirely. Mm-hmm. But yeah, basically I just got fired too many times and eventually couldn't go back. That's all. 27 times, by the way.
Are you kidding me?
I am not kidding you. I was really good at getting fired. But what I found in radio is that when you get fired for being creative, somebody hires you right away.
Yes.
Yes. U-Haul knew me really well. They did. You moving again? Yeah.
It's me again. So,
hello.
Yeah, you say for creativity though. Like, what was it that were you just out of the box at that time, or what was it that?
Well, I think it still stands today. I mean, that was back in the days when you can kind of do some crazy stuff on the radio, stuff you can't do today. Yeah. They used to call me a nighttime teen killer. And basically, I'd get on the air and just get people mad at you, and they would listen, and that would cause ratings. It never was a really good fit for me. The very first time I did that, I was on the air in FM 99 Tallahassee, and I'll never forget it because I was just going at these little kids and having a good time. Well, the parents started calling me complaining. Oh. I sat there for 3 hours after my first show apologizing.
Oh my
And I kind of knew right then that, maybe this is not my game, doing the shock jock kind of deal. It was fun, but it wasn't really me.
Right.
And to look at me now and what I do these days, you'd think, how the heck did you ever go from that to this? But it was always in me. It was just, see, the thing is this, what you're trying to do is create entertaining content in anything you do. Mm-hmm. And I knew that if I could get them in somehow, and then kind of lay some really good and I figured that out real fast. What I didn't factor in was getting fired for doing my job, but it worked out okay.
I love it. I can't believe 27 times though. It's just the creativity though, what you're doing and how you did it. So how did you transition? I mean, did you still stay in the radio, or did you go right into podcasting in 2004 from that transition?
That was a big break. I mean, I think there's a lot in between. I was a TV producer, worked for all the major networks. Did a lot of voiceover work all over the place. That's where you've heard me. Really made my career. I was making six figures as a voiceover talent for 10 years. Got into television. Didn't really like TV that much. I don't do a lot of video. Not my thing, and I think you really have to play to your power. There are certain things we all do.
Yep.
Doesn't mean it has to be easy. But I can sit here all day long and record podcasts. I'm a happy camper. Mm-hmm. Video, you had to tie me in my chair. But it paid so well. So I made a decision. I said, I got to find my way to get out. But the way I got into podcasting was pretty interesting. There was a thing going on in radio about 13 years ago. This is the whole Clear Channel deal, where they bought up a bunch of stations. They started going automated and started firing people. And I saw the writing on the wall. I said, this is going to change. You got a bunch of old school disc jockeys who don't want to change.
Right.
They're going to get trampled. And, radio's still more relevant now than it ever has been, but it's vastly different than it used to be.
Right.
What happened to me, though, is I got fat. See, I was out there doing TV on a big expense account. And in 2 years' time, I gained about 80 pounds. Oh, mm-hmm. I just ate, had a good time. It was great. Got fat, and I decided I had to lose the weight. And I had done martial arts and kickboxing, things like that before. So I got myself into the gym, started losing some weight. And about 2 months into it, a friend of mine said, you want to teach again? I said, okay. So I taught and got going. And all of a sudden, I started kind of inspiring people. Well, along about that time, I noticed that people hadn't liked me. So I said, well, maybe I can get this group together. I sent out some emails. I did good old-fashioned email marketing. Mm-hmm. Hey, meet me at Gators on Friday night. If you come to my class Tuesday and Thursday, you can meet me there. And you can have, food. If you come 3 days a week, you can have some chicken wings. You come 4 days a week, you can have some beer. You come 5 days a week, you can have whatever you want to have. I don't care, but you have to join me Saturday morning. So I kind of started this you can see the approach I took with that.
Yeah.
With 130 people showing up at this stupid little event. Well, here I am with all these people, hundreds of people I'm teaching in kickboxing, and I'm finding that I'm getting better at this motivation thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm realizing that, wait a second, I need to find another way to get my message out. And one day I was sitting, I was surfing the web. It was actually early 2005. I think you said 2004. Mm-hmm. Podcasting was invented. The enclosure little thing on the RSS feed was invented, I think, in like November of 2004. Mm-hmm. Was it Adam Curry or the other dude? Which one got credit for it eventually?
I don't know for sure, but
has that ever been settled? So I was surfing around like maybe in late January.
Yeah. And
I found this little freaky thing called podcasting. And I'll never forget. I said, I didn't understand. I was like, what? This can't be cool. It's just like a little MP3 file. But I walked out in the living room and told my wife, I said, got it. I know how to get my message out. Got it. And I ran with it. I sat down and I wrote radio background. I wrote 260 motivation to move minutes. And that built the business. I mean, I put those out there. What I did, they were 60-second vignettes. I wrote them all, and the intent was, by the way, to put them on the radio.
Oh.
To go out there and syndicate. It wasn't, I thought, I'll just put them online, see what happens, but I really want to get on the FM stations,
Right.
Ultimately, by the way, we did syndicate on FM. We did get them out there, but which drove them back to my website. Clever me. Mm-hmm. So I did this thing, and I put them out there, and it took me about 4 months to figure it out. Back in the day, we didn't have you to show us how to do it. We had to sit down and figure it out. And if you can imagine what it was like about 7 years ago.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Yeah. You had to figure it out. There was no guidance at all.
Yeah.
And so I jumped in. We did it. We launched it. I had them out there. I started a 30-minute show after that. It was on Podcast Alley, I think, is where we started. Mm-hmm. Is that even still around? I don't know.
I think it is a little bit, but not as big.
I have no idea. And then I got wind that iTunes was going to be starting and adding podcasts to the iTunes store. They scraped all the RSS feeds. And I guess I was a little bit smart because not only did I let them scrape me, I actually added another show at the same time. I figured it was the 4th of July weekend, 2005. that iTunes went live, and I landed right in the top 10. And at the time, I had the Motivation to Move show. It was all health and fitness oriented, every bit of it. Landed there, and funny story, I tell you, I put it all in there, and I remember I launched that first show on iTunes, and I left, it was Friday night, and I went out to get, because I'm the health and fitness guy, all this kind of stuff. So I go to Fridays and get some Sesame Jack chicken and beer. I think why not? Let's have total congruency here, Used to be a fat guy, lost some weight, started a health and fitness podcast, let's go drink beer. Came back home, and there were like 20 emails.
Oh, wow.
I said, where'd you come from? Who are you? I was like freaked out by this. So I sat there all night answering emails, wiping the chicken wing sauce off my fingers. And it kind of went on for a while, doing it for free. I mean, we had a membership. I think our community was first. Remember the day I launched my community? I did it on a whim. And
really?
Literally, truly on a whim. It's like we had this feedback going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And my software I used at the time, called Expression Engine, had a module that you plugged in with a forum. And I said, all right, I'm going to plug it in. I plugged it in. Did like 3 hours. I had it in. And 800 people overnight.
Wow.
Overnight. And because that was in the day, podcasting was insanely hot then. People were all over it.
Right.
And so, we got into the early days, and when everybody's so excited, and what is this strange little thing called podcasting? And let's all get together and talk about it. And
right.
And it took off. Began to build a community back then.
Yeah. Oh, it's brilliant. I love so how long you launched your membership site, and then what you've evolved it to, though, is absolutely amazing. You're really about the only podcaster I know that has built your entire foundation on a membership program that is just thriving. So can you explain a little bit more about that and how you did that?
Well, I'll slip the whole story in here and so you get it. I was free for I guess about 18 months, something like that.
Okay.
From start to finish, free for 18 months. And I was like a lot of people going, how do you monetize this?
Right.
Back then, you couldn't put ads on a podcast. You would get shot.
Really?
Oh, you'd get shot. Are you kidding me? Ads were like blasphemy. You couldn't do it. Mm. So imagine me deciding to charge for the podcast instead. Really? You're going to do what? And, but we were kicking around. I said, I got to make money out of this. I can't do this for free forever.
Right.
I'd had a bit of a marketing, advertising, sales background, and there was this new thing called membership sites. Mm-hmm. And I remember the software we used, and still actually we're transferring off it right now, but we still use it, Amember. Mm. We used that back then because that was the only thing that worked with our software. Mm-hmm. And I called the guys, and they're like in Eastern Europe. I said, hello. They grumbled at me. I said, does your software work with podcasts? No, it won't work. Don't try it. I looked at it. I'm a little technical. Mm-hmm. I read the specs and I said, you know what? They don't know what they're talking about. So we plugged it in, and it took us about 6 months to figure it all out. Wow. And we got it working.
Wow.
We got it working. And we figured it out. So what I did was I simply said, well, okay, this is running with it. I said, I've got this 30-minute free show that I'm doing. What I need is something people will pay for. So I dreamed of this little idea of the Daily Boost. Mm-hmm. That's personal development. See, what I believed is this. We were helping people lose weight, but it wasn't about calories. It was all about, their head stuff. It was where their mindset was. It was motivation. I said, I need to help them with life. When life gets in the way, what do we do? Mm-hmm. And so I came up with the Daily Boost program. I put it on free on Mondays. And I said, by the way, if you want it 5 days a week, you can pay. And it would be $19.95 a month. Why? I don't know. I just picked the number. I thought the blue. It was like, well, it made sense to me because the infomercials were selling everything for $19.95. It's the no-brainer price. I thought, well, why not?
Right.
Let's sell it for $19.95. So I did it. Well, the interesting part about it is we the free side people loved, and then I got ready to launch it. We actually launched it on Labor Day weekend of 2006. And what was really interesting, I was going to move to Colorado, I think, where you are.
Yeah.
I was moving out. My house had been for sale all summer long, and we got a contract, and they said, listen, we'll buy your house, we'll give you the price you're asking for it, but you got 8 days to move out.
Oh my gosh.
I said, okay. By the way, I've got a launch scheduled. I'm launching my thing, my paid thing. Well, no problem, we can deal with it. So we're moving out of the house. It was Saturday morning. We're going live at 9 o'clock Saturday morning. I don't know why it was Saturday morning. Maybe it's because I was working all week long. I had to launch on the weekend. We go live, and 30 people gave me $19.95.
That's awesome.
And I was in business.
Yeah.
And but it was short-lived because my wife had been sick all summer, not feeling well, and we moved out of the house that day, and we were. It was so weird because she had had cancer like 7 years before, and she wasn't feeling good. I thought, well, okay, let's get through the weekend. And we had some tests scheduled for the next week. I'm in Gainesville, Florida, 100 miles away from home. My wife calls me. She's staying with a friend. I'm at my daughter's house delivering some furniture. And she says to me, I don't feel good. I said, what's up? She goes, I don't feel good. I said, well, have your friend call the paramedics if you need it, because I don't know what's going on. Well, by the time I got on the road to head back, she had called the paramedics, and I was 100 miles away, and my cell phone died of all nights at 2 o'clock in the morning.
No.
I don't know if you knew this, but you can call anywhere in the country for $4 at a payphone. I didn't know that. I'd gotten a cell phone, right?
Yeah.
By the time I got there, Steve Irwin died, very same day. And I walked in the emergency room, and here's Steve Irwin's up on the screen. Steve Irwin died. Can you believe it? I'm thinking, yeah, it's way too young to die. He's 2 years younger than my wife. I walked back into the examination room, and they gave me a terminal diagnosis. She was going to die in a matter of months. We are moving out of our house. We had a brand new business in the box, actually. I had some good friends, and I put the call out by about 7 in the morning. And by about 9 in the morning, I had about 200 people show up to move me out of the house. They packed me up, and we moved to a hotel.
Wow.
That had been the plan, because we were literally going to go to Colorado.
Right.
So just went to a hotel and realized we were going to go to Colorado, so we revamped. We rented a $1 million beach home, stayed there for 10 days. Figured if you're going to be sick, do it in style, right? Booked tickets to Costa Rica, alternative cancer treatments. Went down there for 16 days. All along the way, making the decision to continue my podcast, I stopped the daily podcast. I told my audience, I said, I'll be back, but I'll do the weeklies for you.
Right.
And I remember sitting on the beach over in New Smyrna, Florida, really talking to the big guy, going like, and I don't often talk to the big guy. He and I got this thing, but I said, today I'm going to talk. And Chris, I got to tell you, listen, I'm a DJ. I'm a guy who has a big heart, wear it on my sleeve. That's why I have a heart logo. And I was going into a world that I maybe didn't believe in myself. A lot of people in this podcasting world do that. They go in and they don't believe that they can be an expert or help people.
Right.
They don't have the confidence. Well, I had maybe a little bit more bravado than most people, but I didn't have the confidence. I was going in a place of really helping people change their lives. Who am I to think I could do that? And that's what I said. Who am I that think I can do this? I said these words. Is this a test? Are you going to see? Because I didn't start a lawn business or I didn't become a plumber. I became a motivational dude. And I swear it vibrated in my body. Yes. I get up and get to work. So long story short, we went through the whole process. She died 100 days later. We did a weekly podcast every step of the way, even in Costa Rica, going out to Radio Shack in Costa Rica, buying equipment and transmitting it back from the jungles almost. And got back home, was homeless when I got home, didn't have a place to go, had to shift around to some friend's house. She died 100 days later, and there I was. But where I was I'd built this foundation. I'm a young guy, I was 46 at the time. I knew that I couldn't just pack up and do nothing. She had given me a lecture. She said, you're going to go ahead, you got something going here. Do it. So, all right. So we made a pact, my daughter and I. We said, Mom's approval, let's go.
Yep.
And so I took about 3 weeks off. And I finally just got up. I think it was New Year's Day. And I went, okay, let's go. To this day, I cannot tell you how I sat there and motivated and inspired people for that first year. I cannot tell you how I did it. I listen back to the programs and I say, how the hell did I ever do that?
Yeah.
But it was kind of, it was therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
And I just jumped back in. But come about the end of January of 07, I had continued to work on getting this thing working, getting this membership site working. And I had stayed with these guys for so long. Now, here's the real key to take away from this, is I was completely transparent. Now, let me explain transparent. I didn't tell them everything. There's no way. If you ever hear somebody say, we're transparent, they're lying. Look under the sheets. There's something happening there. But I was very honest. I would show up and say, here's my life. I'm not going to tell you about this, but I'll tell you about this. But I stayed with them week in, week out. The bond I created was amazing.
Right.
Because it was really connecting with them. And I was honest with them. So when it came time, I literally opened my mic and I said, okay, I know you guys have been waiting for a while, but we're going to start again in a week or two, and you can join now. So I did. 400 people signed up in a week.
Yeah.
So I was at like $8,000 a month right away.
Yep.
Needless to say, I didn't, and the other decision was that I tell people all the time, and I teach this now, is I got lucky. You see, when you go through a situation like that, people don't look at tragic situations as being lucky. I did.
Right.
And here's why. Because when something happens to you, many times everybody else goes away from you. You ever notice when life gets tough for you, nobody calls you?
Yep.
Nobody bangs on your door?
Yep.
Well, I looked at that like, thank God I'm not being bothered. I have a card I can play here. And I thought, I have a limited amount of time. And this is just Scott logic at play here. I said, and my wife died. I'm not going to abuse it, but truthfully, if I ever had a card to play, I got one. I don't want it. I'm never going to get it again, hopefully, but it's here. I said, you know what? I'm going to push the limit on this. I'm going to see if I can get this thing done. Maybe I'll push some bills off a little bit and tell the guy, and it worked. And in other words, I refused to go backwards.
Yep.
I saw the cutoff and I said, I'm going forward. And I could have easily gone into a hole, but I didn't. So we got up to that 400 members. We had about 8,000 in revenue coming in. And I'm just doing my thing, having fun, selling podcasts. And that's where the commercial part of it all started.
It's just an amazing story of what you've created and everything that you've gone through and turned that into success and what you've created with your business. It's phenomenal. So for the people that are listening today that are just getting started with podcasts, what advice do you have for them?
Well, be really good. Be really good. I will get to this. If you want to get to this, and actually some of the technique I used to actually build a membership site, we could do that. Because there's certainly there's an art to it.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. But what I say by being good, I mean, I'm a radio guy, and a radio guy is going to rule podcasting. Don't ever forget it. You can sound like you're in the garage with your little MacBook Air all you want to. But guess what? You're not going to make any money. So radio people are professional broadcasters. They're going to pull this off, and that's why all the radio guys are doing really well at it right now. So listen to what they're doing. But here's the number one thing. Most podcasts are absolute crap. They sound bad technically because nobody spends the money to make them any better. It's a chucklehead fest. Everybody is on these things. Oh, look at me! I got everybody. By the way, I tuned in a guy today. I'm thinking, we're on in 115 countries. I don't care. The audience doesn't care. It doesn't matter.
Right.
What the audience cares is one thing: do you sound pro, and you got good content? You have to deliver the goods. If you do that, you go to the top and you stay there. You mentioned me the other day. You said you can get anybody to number one. I can too, by the way. Get a little new and notable in there, and just a little press, and boom, you're number one. How many stay there? I've learned to laugh over the years. Right now, there's one or two guys above me on iTunes right now, and if I tune them in right now, they'll usually make a mention. We beat that Daily Boost guy. I'm like, yeah, for like 3 more weeks, then we'll never see you again. So, and one out of a few, I'm not trying to be arrogant here. I've just learned over time that the guys who have made it, who have stayed at the top, have delivered consistently good quality in their content and delivered a good quality of technical quality also. So that's number one.
Yep.
Probably number two, got to decide what you want to be. There's a lot of people playing follow the leader right now on iTunes. And I have a basic rule of thumb. When the crowd goes left, you go right.
Right. Do
something different. And following the leader is not going to get you anywhere, because by the time you catch on to it, the leaders are already way down the road.
Yep.
I'm getting ready to come in with another podcast I told you about a little bit earlier.
Yep.
Trust me, I'm not doing it the way everybody else is doing it. I know better than that. I almost didn't do it, but I reviewed the marketplace. I said, ooh, there's a hole here. There's a place I can play. I'm going to come play.
Yep.
So query me if you'd like on anything you'd like to. That's what I would do. That's number one. It is content, whatever that means. You talk to people all the time that you're teaching, so I don't know if you want to go into that anymore.
Well, I think it's great because from your perspective of being in this industry since, literally the inception of where you see some of the trends are, because I really believe that people can own a podcast, not even just for the iTunes factor, but for their website, for people engaging with audio content, for how Google's changing because of it's all content based going forward, and to cater to a whole new listening and learning style. So it's not even just about the iTunes, but for in iTunes, what do you see as what are the top shows? What are people actually doing that stand out in your mind?
Oh, boy, really bad question. No, good question. I don't listen. I don't know. Well, were you surprised when we first talked? And I was pretty naive to podcasting.
Yeah, I was a little bit. But honestly, now that after talking with you, it's like, no, it makes sense because you're in your zone. You're in with what you do. You've mastered it. And it doesn't need to be looked around at what other people are doing because you have something so unique.
So let me give you my perspective of podcasting. I'm not a podcaster. I don't need to be. And I could brag and say I'm a broadcaster, but not really. I'm not on the radio right now, so I guess I'm not.
Right.
I'm not a podcaster. I am a content creator. I'm a motivational guy.
Yep.
That's what I do. Podcasting is nothing more than a medium for me. That's it. Mm-hmm. Now, it could be a blog, it could be TV, it could be cable, it could be anything. It's nothing more than medium for me.
Right.
So I don't really care. Now, I think it's the best medium for me. I think it's a great place for me to be because I have a lot of freedom in what I can do. Mm-hmm. I'm not strapped in, which is what makes podcasting great. Mm-hmm. But it's just a medium. And let me tell you, there's some shifting going on in the marketplace right now as I began to look at it. And the reason I don't know a lot about it is because, like you said, I'm in my own little world making it work. If I start paying attention to everybody else who's not making any money, guess what happens to me?
Yeah, exactly.
I start not making any money, and I'm making money.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I thought about that. I was laying in bed one night thinking about you, Kris. I thought, I wonder what Kris thinks about me. Here, number one in all these years, and he really knows nothing about the industry. And it's not that I'm trying to hide. Was I open to your conversation when you called me? I've been all
totally.
Over.
Yeah.
And I go with everybody. You guys are welcome to contact me. I really am. I like to hear from it. But here's the thing. I know what I do every day. Mm-hmm. You want to go marketing here real fast?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, here's what I do. I'm a daily motivation guy. I kind of put that in there. I work really hard to be a category of one, period. Anybody gets out there does this stuff, but the only guy that does daily motivation on iTunes or anywhere in the world is me. And I do that. And I do it daily. And I do it 9 minutes a day. Mm-hmm. Everything we do is to motivate you. That's it. We do it in 9 minutes. Why? Well, I actually like the format. I'm really good at doing it at that. You can listen to 2 on your way to work, but primarily it makes me really different. It's amazing how many people out there right now are doing 8 minutes and 10 minutes. Why? Because they heard Scott doing 9 and they don't want to steal my stuff. So I work really hard at understanding that this is what I do best. And I defend this hill. Mm-hmm. This is mine. You come at me and I will take you down. Maybe not, but we're going to have a good battle.
Yeah.
I actually will reposition. I've been known to pick up podcasters on the telephone and call them and say, you know what, do you really want to fight this game? Because we can barely be friends and I can send people your direction. Otherwise, I'm coming after you.
Yeah.
You're not going to take my business from me.
Right.
And they never do.
Yeah.
And so what happens is, from a marketing standpoint, I make myself a category of one. There are 200,000 podcasters. Only one school of Scott where you can learn Scott logic.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
There's only one place you can get daily motivation every single day, the fitness boost, the daily boost, and the business boost. There's only one place to do it. Now you know all the other things I have in the background that most people, when they think I'm selling my podcast, they don't realize how I'm getting the podcast sold.
Right.
So number one, guys, become a know your messaging, know who you are. You get very strong messaging, by the way, in what you do. It's very clear. Know your market. Mm-hmm. You obviously know your marketplace, as do I. My marketplace right now is not podcasters.
Right.
And know the medium that you're in. So that's a trifecta you have to have. Make yourself a category of one and be very aggressive in your marketing. Don't be afraid of it, because what happens is if you go out there, most people on podcasts, if you want to sell something and you get too timid, you'll never sell anything. Mm-mm. You got to be aggressive. Will you get people that will flame you or give you bad reviews? Yes. You know how I know when people are listening to me?
Wait, say that again?
I get emails like crazy. Oh. I got emails the other day. I actually had a typo in my logo. Nobody caught it.
Oh, really?
I was doing a big event, and we were mailing stuff like crazy and doing all kinds of extra podcasts. And finally, I started getting all these emails saying, "Do you know there's a typo in your logo?" And I'm thinking, "Oh, you're paying attention now?"
I'm surprised it didn't come up.
Here's marketing. My next email was, "Oh no, there's a typo in my logo," and that was the subject line. And that drew people in more, and guess what? It resulted in more members coming in the door. Mm-hmm. So the trick is be a category one, know your marketplace, be aggressive, don't be mean, have a good time, and understand that you really, really have to deliver. One thing, and I'll let you jump in with another question. Years ago, I did a martial arts program. I recorded a martial arts master. I used to be in the business of television.
Yeah.
And he was holding back on me. We had a 40-minute video to do. And he's holding back on me, and he's holding back, and I said, "What are you doing? I can see you holding back. You're not really telling me everything you know." He goes, "I'm not telling everybody everything I know for $29.95 on a videotape." Even then, I said, "Sir, if you can tell me everything you know for $29.95 on a videotape, I don't want to hire you."
Exactly.
Guys, let it rip. Mm-hmm. Give it out. Go for it. You ask me anything, I'll answer the question for you.
Yep.
Because that's when people begin to bond with you. I think Frank Kern calls it the results in advance. Mm-hmm. If you don't study marketing, understand marketing is your number one job, period. It's not podcasting, it's not your content, it's marketing.
Exactly.
Understand it, learn it, master it. Otherwise, you're going to be broke. Marketers hold the keys to the kingdom.
Yep. And it's nothing to be scared of. And I love that you talk about that with just being yourself out there. And for those of anybody that's listening that is creating an interview-based show, like bring that out with your listeners. So with what you've created, I want you to talk about with Motivation to Move, because you really, I mean, you are the pioneer in this. Like we were just talking about before, you are like the only one that has mastered this membership site. So talk about, and nobody's going to be able to duplicate what you've created, but talk about what needs to go into that to make it a success.
Well, first off, you have to have the content that people are willing to buy. And you kind of know, I mean, where do you get that? Well, you toss some things out there and you start to get a kind of a hit here or there. People will let you know. If you're getting some feedback, you probably have a hit. People are listening. You're developing that fan base. You're raising your herd, as they say. Now, the trick is to put a fence around that herd and protect them. And that's what a membership site is. It's a big old fence. You get them inside, and when I explain this to people that meet me, and they say, well, what's the biggest value of your herd? I said, well, I love my 1995ers. I really, truly do. It's not a lot of money, but for some of them it is. But they're here. They're with me.
Yeah.
But what's the benefit to me? I'm doing research and being paid for it. Every day, every week I do 16 shows.
Yeah.
So I'm cranking out a lot of research. I get paid to do this.
Yeah.
I'm getting to influence them 5 days a week. Now, do you think that might be powerful when I have something else to do? So, you got to remember that that's how you do it. But so number one is you have to have something that they would buy. And this is a big question for membership sites, so I have nothing to put in there. Podcasters have a tendency to sell their archives.
Yeah.
You can't buy my archives. You can't.
Right.
And people occasionally, I'll get an email from somebody that says, why don't you have the archives on the internet like everybody else? I said, well, I'm not a podcaster. Why would? I got 6,000 shows.
Yeah.
I've done 6,000 shows. Do you really want to download 6,000 shows? And do I really want to pay for you to do it? No.
Yeah, no.
I think we have 2 to 4 weeks of archives. We take a radio model. We no more than 30 days. We've done more. We've done up to a year, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So there's a benefit for people to actually stay a member, isn't there?
Yeah.
Otherwise, they can't get them.
That's the secret there with that.
Yeah, so we have one thing, you got 2 things to worry about with the membership site. After you figure out you can actually sell people something. Number one is to get them in the door. You're going to have a certain attrition rate every single month. Ours happens to be, are you ready for this? I'll pause while you fall over. 2% a month. Now, if you know anything about membership sites, what should that number be, really?
Oh my gosh, some people have drop off of 60% a month.
Yeah, we're at 2. And we've been at 2 for 5-6 years now.
Amazing.
2. Now, the reason we're there is because we are episodic and serialized. There is not one program you hear that I am not dragging you from yesterday through today to tomorrow. We are a soap opera. People ask me, when you do 9 minutes, Scott, why don't you talk the whole time with content? I said, well, first off, people don't want 9 minutes of content.
Right.
They will say they do. Well, guess what? Those people who say they do, they also will never give you a dime.
Yeah.
They won't.
Yeah.
People who say, hey, it should be free, well, guess what? It's only good for people who want it free. So I don't have a problem giving stuff away and helping people. We do that, but you got to pay your bills and make a living also.
Right.
So what you want to do, the reason I do a 9-minute program is because there's something called an executive reader, 5-minute executive reader, where somebody can give you 5 or 6 minutes of their time. And so that's what we do. We do 5 or 6 minutes. But I'm a good guy. I'm your buddy. I'm your friend. I'm glad to see you. Yeah. I got to say hello. I got to sit down and break some bread with you a little bit and what's happening, tell you what's going on with my life and how you doing. And then I got to teach you a little bit. And I go, oh man, is it over already? I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Guess what's coming up tomorrow? Promotional time.
Yep.
Do not underestimate that power. A lot of people I notice on podcasting these days are very quick to get to the show.
Right.
The reason they're quick to get to the show is because people are probably complaining. They're probably saying, just get to the content. Well, the reason they're complaining about getting to the content is because what you have to say prior to that is not interesting enough.
Right.
So that's a personality thing.
Right.
I format mine in. I know what I could actually show you the format for my shows, and if you saw it, you'd go, oh my God, you're following a format. It sounds completely unscripted.
Right.
I follow some bullet points, but I actually have a format that I follow, and you're going to see me turn on a dime about every 30 to 45 seconds. I'll go in another direction. And I do that purposely. And the reason is because I know the formula. So the number one thing is you got to keep it come in, and you have to retain them. That's how you retain them. So if you have more people coming in the door than going out, our retention is so high, we don't have to actually bring that many people in the door.
Right.
We brought 150 members in the last 2 weeks.
Wow. That's amazing.
Do the math on that.
Yeah.
And so the other side of this is, of course, that retention issue. So we kind of cover both of these things. Now, when you're on a membership site, this is always going to happen. And you have to remember, people buy a membership site for a couple of reasons. They buy it because they need it. Mm-hmm. But you got to understand that nobody wants to buy a monthly payment. Nobody.
Right.
Right? Nobody wants $19.95 a month.
Right.
Nobody wants $4.95 a month. They will look at that, I don't want to get into this, And have you noticed that everybody online right now is doing, online membership payment type of stuff? It's all subscription now.
Yeah, it's all coming back around. Yeah.
Well, it's really good though, because back in the day, people didn't trust us. They I'm not going to give you my credit card. No, you're going to bill me every month.
Right.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. So what ends up happening now is people are used to it. Glenn Beck, when he shifted over to online, love him, hate him, doesn't matter. Go join his site, study his model.
Yep.
He is teaching people every single day to pay $9.95 a month for content.
Right. That's so true.
Ignore what everybody else says and go watch him. That's what I did, but I did it way before him. So I right now I think we're actually I think we're just coming into the curve. I think we were probably 7 or 8 years ahead.
Yeah.
I think we're just coming into it right now, and it's beginning to grow because of that. So anyway, here's what we do. Here's the real secret to a membership site. Nobody wants a monthly fee. So therefore you must have something to get them in the door. You have to sell them a solution now. So somebody comes in and whatever your solution is, if you're helping with weight loss, the last thing somebody wants to hear is, come join the membership site and take 8 months to lose your 10 pounds.
Exactly.
Yay! That's a good deal. Tomorrow.
Sign me up now.
This weekend, buddy. Same thing, right? But money or whatever it happens to be, they want it now.
Yeah.
So what you do is you give them an instantaneous solution. You give them something that immediately gets them in there. When they pop in, then they get introduced to your daily stuff or whatever you happen to be delivering, and it becomes part of their life, and now they're okay. And they'll stick with you long term, and now they're not gonna fight you on it.
Right.
You still have the retention issues, you have to work at that. Now, you know that I put a lot in my site to do it. There is some science behind what I do. I don't know if you want to get into that at all, but you tell me.
No, I'd love to. I'd love to. This is the stuff that I love that people don't talk about. Nobody talks about this backdoor stuff of how the psychology behind it. So go for it.
We've supported. I mean, we're a mid 6-figure business just on the podcasting, and that doesn't include coaching or anything like that. But it's funny. I remember the first call I got. Do you coach? Okay, I guess. There's all these motivational speakers and life coaches out there. Life coaches say, the average life coach makes $9,000 a year. And they're all asking me, well, Scott, how do I do what you do? And I said, stop being a life coach. Just start helping people. I really didn't expect to coach or anything like that. But here's what happened. I realized I needed a solution. People were coming in, and they were getting to know me a little bit and building that rapport and getting into the nurture and all that kind of stuff. Now, we're big on that. We use Infusionsoft and a bunch of other things to nurture our people.
Yes.
Our funnel is full constantly because of that. Big investment in that. I had those initial 400 members, and I decided I need some more. And so I decided, actually I needed more money to date my fiance, is what happened. She wasn't biting on $100 a month. So I had to get more money, and I said, okay, well, there's this thing going on. People are selling products and launching products, and I don't know where I came up with the idea, but I created a program called Start Moving, Stay Moving. And it was a 30-day guided motivational program. And all I did was I took all my original podcasts and kind of put them in order and then re-recorded them. And I gave them something in the morning and the afternoon and the evening. And it was very simple. People absolutely loved it. And then I went out and instead of just saying, hey, it's for sale, because most people want to sell it for $20 or something like that, I didn't do that. I said, you can have it for free when you join my membership site, which costs you $19.95. But the way I got them in it was this. I actually did a 6-week teleseminar. Mm-hmm. And on the launch of the night of the teleseminar, I did 2. The first one, I said, we're going to do this thing, and I had an extra bonus. Anybody who gets in, we're going to get back on the phone in another 30 minutes and have your first coaching call. So we brought in about 100 people that first night. And then we did this additional 5 weeks of teleseminars for about an hour, and we talked about it. And what made it work is this. A lot of people on the phone didn't have the Start Moving, Stay Moving program because they didn't want to give me $19.95.
Right.
Yet, I had all these questions from people who did have it. I love it. The social proof is there.
Yeah.
We signed up people. We got to, I think by the end of that 6 weeks, I think we had added, I don't recall, I think the number was like 250. We were in the 650 to 700 range in terms of members.
Wow. Yeah.
So that came in. And now if you add up my attrition rate, you know that I kept a lot of them for a long time. Mm-hmm. So that brought the numbers up to a nice substantial number. I was literally at 6 figures in 6 months doing that. And that kind of started the role. And that's really the model we followed for a very long time. And we even still follow it to this day.
Yeah.
So if you go to my website today, if you go to motivationmove.com, which is right now, it's funny. The website is, we had some technical issues that required me to have a temporary website. And I just haven't got back to it yet.
Oh.
This is one of my big lessons. This website is very, very simple. Mm-hmm. It doesn't say a whole lot about me. It's on my About page, maybe. I wrote that page about 6 years ago. I really haven't done much to the website. And I learned that it really wasn't the website. As long as I do my podcasts and do them well, mm-hmm. I deliver on time, and I'm a good guy, and I communicate out through my emails, website doesn't really matter. Squat. Doesn't matter at all. Case in point, if you go to the website, you'll see down at the bottom it says free MP3 download. Now, everybody tells you have a pop-up, get pop-up domination, do something like that.
Right.
I just never got around to it. So on my podcast, what I do is this. And follow this. This is, guys, you can just get the freebie and you'll see how this works. I created a program called Face Your Passion. The way for you to basically not only find your passion, but do something about it. I sold this. We did a whole bunch of business on that. It was originally about a $300 program, and I kind of sold it twice. And I said, you know what? I want to increase my retention. So why don't I take this and put it in the membership site and spend some time on a drip feed? In other words, take a 6-module program and drip it out over 6 months instead of just giving them the whole thing at one time. By the way, nobody complains. We actually get emails, people saying, when does module 2 open up? And we just tell them, as soon as you make your next payment. And they usually will say, can I make it in advance?
Yeah.
And we'll sell it to the whole thing if they want it, but they're willing to wait. Fact of the matter is, most people will take a year to go through the material. It's about 9.5 hours. So I said, well, let's put it on the membership site. So we use Customer Hub and Infusionsoft. We kind of drip it out. And what happens is this. When you go to my website, you log in, and the first thing you get is the top 10 motivational truths you must know to face your passion. Mm-hmm. Now, this program is actually the webinar I used to sell the original program. So it was already done.
Yeah.
So I went back in. I said, well, let me redo this thing. I actually took, if you look at it, I can see it now. I literally did it in about 2 hours. When I look at it, I can tell. It was bad. But gosh, it works.
But it works, yeah.
But here's the point behind it. Now, understand this. It's the original webinar, but it was redone. And now the reason I redid it was this, because we understand in podcasting, you asked me one time, you said, hey, put your programs up there if you do the free stuff and leave a whole bunch of them. Mm-hmm. I said, nah, I can't do that. I'm not going to. And here's why. Because podcasting has a built-in delay. Sometimes it can be a week or two because people download. You know, when you say download, that means never listen to it, right? All right, so we have to get them to consume our content like that.
All right, so we had a little technical glitch there, but I'm bringing Scott back. And you were talking about the downloads, how that never means listen. So how do we get them to consume our content right now?
What they don't know is we're both in the moment. Neither one of us could remember what we were talking about.
You're not supposed to tell that.
I am, because that's what's real.
I
that's
know.
What happened.
It happens.
See, but here's the thing. And this is the reason I did that was because we can make a fancy-dancy edit all we want to. But there's going to be a slight difference there, because if we don't exactly know where we were, we're going to be faking it a little bit, and people are going to pick up on that.
Yep.
So instead, it's like, well, I was screwed up. Let's go on. So what we're talking about is downloads never get listened to. So we have to force people to consume our content, because when they consume our content, then they will follow our path and get to know us a little bit and begin the nurture. So when you look at my Face Your Passion Top 10 Motivational Truths, what you'll find is that about the first 50 minutes of it are not only top 10 motivational truths, but each one has been respun to make sure if it's your first time listening to me, you know 10 really good stories about me. You know my story before we get to the end of this program. Purposely built in to do that. Now, when we get to the end, I do something else. I say, by the way, this program is based on my Face Your Passion program, which is a $300 program we actually sell inside the membership site. But now it's a part of the membership site, and you can certainly try it. In fact, I should probably let you know that Module 1 and 30 days of Face Your Passion coaching and Start Moving, Stay Moving, and all the daily motivation stuff that we do is available for that first week. And I should probably let you know, too, it's actually a 7-day free trial. There's really no skin off your nose, is it? So, okay, well, great, thanks for coming by, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Boom. As soon as they've opted in, they get that. What's happened is we also, on the other side, are sending off a nurture sequence driven by Infusionsoft that is going to go up and track them down. And the nurture sequence actually is only 4 emails. It was intended to be 7, but it was working so good at 4, I never got to the 7. I mean, that's how accurate you have to be here.
Yeah.
If you're getting 80%, who cares about the 20, right?
Right.
And so, so the nurture sequence is out there to kind of drive the people who maybe didn't listen right away or didn't act on it right away. So we have that going on. But then we have the other people that we're dropping right in. Now, you just heard me talk about what I give them. I give them 30 days of archives. I give them about 60 shows. I give them the full Start Moving, Stay Moving 30-day program, and I give them access to the first week module of Face Your Passion, which I think is the best module, plus 30 days of coaching for free. Pause while everybody screams. Wait a second, Scott. I thought you didn't give away anything for free. Oh, gosh, do I ever. Now, do I get people to rip me off? What do you think?
That's a question that I've heard people ask. Well, what about the people that just go in and download everything and then they disappear? I think it's for you probably really small. I mean, do people?
It is. But we've done some good. If first off, they're either not going to listen.
Yeah.
You download my stuff and listen, and I'm going to change your life anyway.
Yeah.
So next time you'll come back and pay. I've actually had people come back and say, I've been listening to your stuff for years, but it's time I give you some money. But here's what you need to know. Once I get you to free trial, and I have a brand new number right in front of me right now, 94% free to paid conversion.
Wow.
Because what happens is I'm giving you so much, the law of reciprocity kicks in.
Yep.
You're like, this guy, this is an irresistible offer. And in the world of marketing, it's almost a satisfaction commitment, which means this guy must be out of his mind. He must so much believe in his product, he's willing to let me try everything he has for a week?
Right.
Really? Well, they're sitting back going, I know this happens all the time. All right, I'll go ahead and give him $20. It's worth that.
Right.
I'm thinking, I got you. And they stay a long time, on average 10 months.
Yeah.
You see, I know my lifetime value of my customer. And when you know the lifetime value of your customer, I'm not thinking $20 at a time.
Right.
I'm thinking what I'm going to get eventually from my average customer. And so that means that I can actually give away a lot more and spend more money to get them in the door because I know what the number is going to be.
Right.
Even if you're just a podcaster, I know I got about $400 coming out of you on average. So I know it's going to be there.
Right.
It may take a couple of years, but I'm going to get that. And that's okay because we just cycle through it.
Yep.
But we do that. I tell you, I put that in play. I've always done something similar to that. I put it in play and it's worked really well. I'm getting ready to actually expand on that, which means that we're actually going to go out there right now. It's just Face Your Passion, but we're going to create a fitness one and a business one because we just launched the new Business Boost, which is a huge hit. Huge hit. You think I'm telling you stuff now, you ought to hear the Business Boost. It's scary.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's transition over into that. Because, the health and fitness is what launched you and how you've really helped people. But business, what's been the shift there?
I was in business for a while. I'm not a fan. Okay, come here. Pet peeve. I just don't like people who say, I'm going to be an expert at this. And they go be an expert at it. And this is, rampant with the internet marketers. I bought 4 programs. I'm an expert now. No, you're not.
Right.
You have no idea what's working. An expert spends 5 or 10 years working on something. An expert really, really understands the nuts and bolts of what's happening. I was an expert in broadcast and this kind of thing before I got started, but in terms of motivation and coaching, all that kind of thing, I'm 10, 12,000 hours plus now, 6,000 podcasts, traveled to Australia, traveled all over the place doing this stuff. I've been at this game 10 years now and just getting my content. And so along the way, I've been able to never go backwards in the business. It's always gone forward and always grown.
Right.
And it took me all this time before I got to the point where I said, wow, I actually could help people with this. Same thing I did when I launched the podcast about coaching. I don't do much coaching anymore. I do. If you got enough money, I'll coach you. It's hours for dollars.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And so I kind of outgrew it. And I'm a one-to-many kind of guy.
Yep.
And so I just got to the point that I felt like I could really help people and transform them. I created a program called Wisdom to Wealthy back in February. This program is almost complete. It's got one more module to be done. It's a total 6-module program. There's a consistent thing in my life here, isn't it? This group has been blown away by what I've taught them. That was a $1,500 program.
Nice.
And it's probably going to go up from there about $500. So what I did is I had a problem because I had done successful in business, done very well with it. At the same time, my core audience really didn't understand me. They were fitness people. They were personal development people. They're like, I don't want to hear about business. Ultimately, we talk, it's as much personal development as it is business. It's sales, it's marketing, it's the best of the best stuff in the world that I know and that I learned from other people.
Right.
Really, very expensive product to know the stuff.
Right.
And so I had to convey to these people, I said, well, how do we do this stuff? So basically, this is kind of funny. This is a marketing twist for you. I went out there saying I'm doing the Business Boost, and everybody on my list is going, I don't want to hear about business. So I would literally lead my email saying, I know you don't want to hear about business. trust me, it'll be over soon. I need to launch this. And they go, okay, as long as it ends soon. Guys, I am telling you, just tell them what you're doing.
Yeah.
And we went out, we sent out probably 250,000 emails. And I had 18 people unsubscribe. And I was getting emails back the final 5 days because I would send an email, 5 more days, 4 more days, 3 more days. And I literally would say, it's almost over. Can you see? It's only 3 more days. So what am I saying to, I'm saying to them, it's almost over, so they love me. Yeah. What am I saying to the other guy that might buy from me?
3 days, let's go.
It was unbelievable. So I think I should just check my numbers. It was just shy of 200 members that came in.
That's
great. And it was pretty cool. And actually, you can actually get the Business Booster right now. It will be up again here within about a week and a half.
Okay.
It is a premium upgrade to what we do. In other words, it doesn't come with $19.95. Although maybe you and I can work something out eventually. Maybe they'll send an email or something. It is really what you're hearing me talk about today. You know, I'm a jack of all trades. I'm good at a lot of things. It's only taken me 35 years to kind of get good at a lot of things. But one of the things I'm best at doing is marketing. Can I show you something? You see me on Skype, right?
Yeah.
Do you see this?
Yes.
Describe what you're seeing right there.
Yep.
That is about a 4-inch notebook, isn't it?
Yep.
Do you know that is all marketing material? Every bit of it. I consider anybody who's an entrepreneur, your first job is marketing your business. Because if not, you do not have the opportunity to do what you love to do.
Yeah.
So learn to do it.
That's so true.
Listen to me go. How long is this show anyway? I have no idea. Just as long as we want to. Can we talk all day?
Yes, we could talk all day. I love it. I mean,
what else do you want to know? Dig in.
I do. Well, I think what the biggest question that comes down with podcasting is really how, I know we talked about, the content and the mic, but let's talk about the marketing, because that is the next piece. Because a lot of people think they can just throw a show up on iTunes and then they're done. And that's not how it works.
Yeah, it's not. Although that's how it worked for me back in the beginning. I guess it doesn't work that way anymore.
Well, there still is. I mean, there's over 500 million people in iTunes. It's really untapped, and so you can get in there and rank. But I want to help people who have these quality shows that aren't necessarily as found afterwards, like kind of what you talked about. What are some key moving parts that they need to be implementing with their podcast?
Well, we talked about the absolute quality content.
Yes.
Don't pander to your audience. If you're going to have two-way talk in the studio, learn to do it right. Don't just talk among, hey, we got together, we're going to talk about real estate or whatever it is. No, talk about real estate.
Right.
Listen to how the radio guys do it. They do it right. So you got to project a good quality product out there. Now, obviously everybody knows about the SEO stuff that you have to do within the iTunes search engine, right? You teach that.
Yep.
That's part of your program?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Would it surprise you that I was one of the first to even do that?
Really?
Oh yeah, you put your all the keywords up in your title.
Yeah.
Nobody was doing it. I
seems so obvious to me.
What was to me? I was looking at it one day and I went, just kind of makes sense what I'm seeing here. If I start putting some words up there, maybe it'll work. And I was surprised at two things. One, nobody copied me for like 5 years, and two, that iTunes lets it happen.
Yeah.
I still don't know why they let it happen.
I know.
Yeah. I actually do a terrible job at naming my titles. I don't do any. I mean, I see people they fill in the lyrics with all kinds of keywords and all. I don't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I did that years ago. I had show notes and all that stuff. I don't have time for that. I listen to me, and that's fine.
Right.
And because that's the power of the content.
Yeah.
Yes, it helps you to get found. I've been so high in self-help on iTunes for so long. I know the numbers. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I can get found anymore. I don't know if I can. But here's what I would do, I guess. After you get the good quality going, you got the SEO happening, you got really good titles, and yes, I will go to Dig, I'll go to Google Trends, I'll go all over the place, and I'll name on titles that I really think will work. I will occasionally get a little sensational. Because whether you like it or not, once people find you, they're going to read that title. And if that title is 3 words and it's boring, they're not going to listen to it.
Yep.
So you got to put something that's a little bit sensational in there to get them to look. And not all my stuff is perfect like that. I do too many to worry about it. I really, God knows what I could do if I actually worried about it. So get that in there. Your art, podcast art. We've tested a lot of different samples of art.
Yep.
It really makes a difference.
It totally does.
And I am not sure that I could tell you what works. Can you?
Well, I think it depends. I think like with your logo and the what you have, it's simple. You know exactly what it is. A lot of people will have it confused. It's dark. Like yellow works really well on iTunes. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just pops. People's eye go to it because everybody else's is dark, and they're like, and a confused eye just goes to the next podcast.
Yeah, the ego gets in the way on iTunes a lot. You see the pictures, and people tell me all the time, brand myself. I could brand my name if I want to, and the pictures do make sense in some instances. I'm not a brand guy. I'm a direct marketing kind of guy. If I get a result, I'm going to get a brand.
Right.
I'm not going to try to brand myself. You hear a lot of talk. I'm building my brand. Listen, if I get enough people paying attention to me, my brand is built automatically. I don't build a brand. The consumer builds it.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's how it is. I mean, there's a few people in your space teaching nothing but building brand. And people get tired of hearing that.
Yeah.
People just want to hear stuff that makes them go, God, this guy's the best in the world. This girl's the best in the world.
Exactly.
That builds your brand. We call it the unique selling proposition. Where you think, okay, why should somebody do business with me over somebody else? What makes me so special? When you know that, you have a brand.
Yeah.
You have a brand.
That's
and that's how you do it. So you get all that stuff going. You get the nice picture going. You get the SEO going. You get titles going. The whole deal. You have a nice show. You get a new notable. You fly to the top real fast. Of course, you have to get out there and get some activity, get some downloads, get some reviews. I haven't had a new review in 4 months. I don't even ask for it. I get bad ones. Usually it's some podcast snob. All this guy does is talk about himself. I'll listen back to the show and I say, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Who are you listening to? Snob? You got nothing else to do? I'm busy. I don't need to leave bad reviews. Come on.
Exactly.
I'll contact iTunes to say, get rid of the guy. And they will, by the way. Have you done that?
No, but I know they do that, and that's awesome.
If it's not relevant, they'll take them off for you.
Yep.
So how do we stay there, though? Well, everything that I said builds up to this. Serialized, episodic, friendly, deep content, stuff that resonates with people, stuff that is entertaining on their level, not your level, stuff that makes them want to listen to you. That is all the start. That will make you stick. And iTunes gives you a big head start. They literally put you at top of the pile, and they give you everything. And I don't know how many downloads that's worth being a new and notable. It's got to be it could 40,000 a week. Depending on what my category would be. Everyone's
a little bit different. Some of them are larger, some of them are smaller. But you get featured there for 8 weeks, which is the big thing.
I see all kinds of games up there. I see guys that get featured there for 16 weeks. How'd you do that? I saw a guy come in, he's a new notable, but he launched with like 200 podcasts. I said, all right, you took yourself off someplace else and reintroduce yourself.
Yeah.
You know what? I tell you, and what happens is they shoot to the top and then they disappear again. If you can't win once, you're not going to win the second time.
Exactly.
A lot of game. I don't like a lot of that over there because it's just not right. But that's the world. I mean, I'm a full blown capitalist, and I'm not going to complain about it. Trust me. I'm going to go play. But so once you get there, iTunes has given you this biggest. So that kind of makes my point even better. Don't launch your show. Don't get a new and notable until you got a good show. Test it out, sample it, give it to your friends for a while, keep it on your website.
Yep.
Get it figured out. Get yourself 10 or 20 underneath your belt. Get good at it.
Yeah.
Get emails coming in on it, and then go to iTunes. And then when you get this big hit, you're going to stick in the top 10 or 20.
Yep.
Do you agree with that?
I do. And I think that's great because I teach that a lot. I want people to take action and get moving forward. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't want to get started. But I really do. I mean, that's what I did. I launched a show and kind of tested it out. And then now I'm relaunching a whole brand new show. And it's really getting focused on where your voice fits into it and where you can pop and stand out of the market and give that great content, what people are looking for. And it takes a while to get good at what you're doing. I mean, I have no broadcast background. And a lot of people don't, but they've got expertise and ideas. It's just how to craft that where it's going to be an engaging show for people. Yep. So I love that.
It does take time, and most people don't get to 8 podcasts. They pod fade. Do they still say that?
Well, yeah, it's still there, but people
That's
don't know.
That's the old school thing.
Yeah.
Pod fade. Okay. Thanks, Adam.
They just disappear is what I say. They're gone. Poof.
Gone, yeah, they disappear. And, and frankly, I think iTunes ought to wipe them out of the directory. And make
I think they should too. Exactly.
Yeah, they should, but, they're not going to because it makes them look good. They get some traffic out of it. They like that.
Yep.
Who knows what their plans are. We can't rely on iTunes completely. To do that would be silly. I don't rely on it completely.
Right.
And I get traffic from all over the place. You never know what's going to happen to that directory.
Yep.
And here's why. You want my theory on this?
Yeah, I love it.
They've never charged for a podcast.
I know.
Now, here's my question to you. Has Apple ever never charged anything for anything else?
Yeah.
They never have. So what's the benefit to them? Well, they get traffic, right? Okay, and they probably need that.
Yeah.
But what could they do to it? When they spun off on the iPhone and created the podcast app, really lame effort on that app.
Yeah.
It's really bad effort. I look at that and I go, what's going on?
Right.
what's happening. So my advice is I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket.
Yep.
I would optimize for it because it's the 900-pound gorilla.
Yes.
It can make you a nice business. You don't need it, though, and you want to be spread out there to get other places right now. A lot of change is going on in the podcast world right now.
Exactly.
A lot.
And there's so many other platforms. I mean, with Stitcher Radio now and with things that are happening all over. So what are let's dive into that for a little bit. What are some of the things that you see the changes and where things are heading?
Well, I think we're going to get consolidation on its way. There's too much out there.
Yeah.
And you're feeling it all over the place right now. People they're too busy. We're in the attention deficit age.
We are.
And what that means is that you got to fight to get your listeners' attention, and you got to fight to keep it. Mm-hmm. And they can't find you. So they're beginning to go along with like the blog curation. Blogs used to be popular. They still are. You can still make money on blogs. But people are curating them together. They're saying, hey, listen, we've gone out to 1,000 blogs. We got the best stories. Come to our blog and read them.
Yep.
Well, that's beginning to happen in podcasting with some of these networks that are shaping up.
Mm-hmm.
Advertisers are beginning to work the podcast thing a little bit more.
Yep.
Podcasters, you're going to screw it up by adding ridiculous shows just to get downloads. Because an advertiser is not stupid. They're going to figure out that it's the same person that they're counting for, and they're paying triple for it. And that's going to go away. Mm-hmm. So you're going to make yourself a bad bet here if you're not careful. So the way I see it happening is, I've said this for a long time, podcasting is nothing more than a program. Good programming is coming to it. Long form programming works best on podcasting, which is why I'm not on Stitcher or anything because I got a 9-minute show.
Yeah.
So we're going to put some longer ones out there. But the way I see it coming is this big old merge of media. There is no new media. There is no traditional media. There never has been. Everybody thinks the new media is the next greatest thing. Guys, silly kids. What are you thinking? The same thing that has worked in media has worked forever. It's not going to change. I'm just old enough to know that.
Yeah.
To understand. And then what we had to do is have to kind of wait. People haven't changed. Yeah. So here in the next couple of years, you're going to see this whole internet thing, the interweb. It's becoming your TV channel. It's becoming your radio channel. The cars are now carrying all this now. Mm-hmm. You have a chance to really get out there. But the networks are going to squeeze it all together because they have to, otherwise you never get found. So you got to pay attention to where it's going and get on these networks. The other thing is back to marketing. You have to be very much willing to get out there. We advertise on a lot of different sources to bring people. I might be one of the few people in the world that has actually advertised to my iTunes page. Have you ever done that?
Wait, when you advertisements that you send over to iTunes?
Yeah.
That you're doing from Facebook or LinkedIn
I send
or
them
whatever.
directly to my iTunes page.
Yeah. No, I haven't done as much with that, but I know I think that's brilliant with what you've set up for your model. So my model is going the opposite way from iTunes over to the website, but you've got your membership, so I think that's brilliant.
Well, you have to say what I do. Yeah. The trick is to go out there and do a bunch of ads, and I find places where I get for like a penny a click, something like that.
Nice.
I send just a ton of traffic. That's, by the way, one of the ways that I can stay on top if I really need to. If I decided, like right now I'm number 3, if I want to be number 1 in 3 days, boom, just write a check. And it goes to number 1, and I stay as long as I want to. And because I structure my funnel the way it is, I can spend money, take them through iTunes. I hear about 5 samples over there, drop into my website, go through my funnel there, and now I got them.
Right.
So you can do it. There's lots of different ways to do it. But you can see you got to be creative.
Yes.
Got to be creative. And I try to be. Plus I have fun.
Yeah, well, and having fun with it is too. So, with your broadcast background, what do you see with what's going on with the radio? Because there's so many channels out there now today. So, how do you see that? I mean, because there's been a huge surge in the past 18 months back into podcasting now. Like it's hot, people are jumping in left and right.
And where'd that come from? I think the radio guys finally came and said, "Hey, I want in on that." Yeah.
I do. Well, and I like to say, this is just my opinion, but it's the smartphone has overtaken.
Yeah, there you go.
But people want content on the go now. They want to be able to, like all the major radio stations here, they say, go to the podcast. Yeah. So I think it's that. But I just love to get your perspective on with radio and where you see that going.
Radio is very powerful. Mm-hmm. Still incredibly powerful right now. More powerful than any podcast you have, unless you're Adam Carolla. And if you go look at his website, he's just small town podcast stuff, the way he's hammered it together, but he's got big dollars behind him, and he had fame he brought to the table.
Right.
It works. He can get 1 million downloads because he's Adam Carolla.
Yeah.
Listen, Rush Limbaugh is on 620 radio stations across the country. Love him, hate him, doesn't matter. He's on 600 stations, about probably 60% are FM stations now. He's talking to about 20 million people a week. It's $7,200 to buy a 60-second ad on his show.
Wow.
And I think they run about 12 an hour. So that's not slowing down. Yeah. Radio ad revenue is growing. But here's what I think is going to happen. You have a group of people, kids, who don't listen to radio. They don't know what it is. I think radio is going to your smartphone.
Yeah.
And that's why they're pushing the FM receivers on smartphones. Radio is very, very cool. Now, it's going to change a little bit when all this internet radio starts streaming to your car.
Right.
We're still a ways out from that happening. It's happening in some levels right now, but we don't have the bandwidth to do that for everybody right now.
Right.
I think radio is going to continue to do what they do. They're going to continue to be, they're going to do what a lot of people can't do, and that is they're going to broaden their audience. Because the internet is so scoped down to individual little stuff.
Yeah.
Which is great, but I think radio's big solution is they're a little broader. And, that's how radio began.
Right.
It used to be you go to a radio station, they just, in the morning they played country, in the afternoon they played rock. Whatever was there. These days a little bit different. But I think radio's going to be fine. I think AM radio might be a little bit different thing for most people. I think HD radio is, what's that? XM is XM.
Yeah.
When it's probably all going to come down to what the car manufacturers decide to put in the car. But in any case, here's the big thing that I think is that you've got probably, I think we're 7 or 8, 10 years away from anything major happening. It's going to slowly change a little bit. But the big thing that people need to know in this world is, from a guy that got in really early on, we're doing apps right now, and I'm designing my apps. I didn't have to forever. I didn't go with Wizard Media's apps and things like that. I talked to them, and they literally said to me, "You probably don't want to do our stuff." I said, "Yeah, you're probably right. I want something a little bit more customized." So we're building our apps right now. One reason to do it, and this has been the real reason podcasting has not grown. It's because it's too difficult. So with an app, I can push a button.
Yep.
They can listen. I can control everything. Now, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I can actually control if they even get it. I can demand an email address. I can control. You can do things on an app you can't do on a web page.
That's so brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to do is, and I will here probably I'm thinking by fall, you'll see me move heavily into the apps and drive a lot of my traffic through my apps. And the goal is actually to make it like a radio station where you just push a button, you hear the show. And in fact, there is MTM radio in the background. And so what we're doing with our archives is we're throwing them into a rotating radio station that runs. So rather than make people download them, we produce it like a station. It's actually running in the back in the other room here to test it out. And so you'll be able to get your app, and any of our daily shows, just push one button, it plays for you like that. You can download, you can stream it if you want to. Then you push another button, and MTM Radio pops up and goes live. So you just hear something random that was 5 years ago that pops up, plus other stuff in between.
Yeah.
And then we're making it so that if you're a member, you just log in and you have all your stuff right there. We built the API to go to Infusionsoft, so it's smart. It goes back and forth. And we're probably going to use Apple's system to allow that too, because I don't like to give up 30% of my money. Well, we already have the facility, but here's what I do like. I don't know how many credit cards Apple has on file, but it's like 200 million at one push of a button.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Exactly.
So and frankly, my model came from Dave Ramsey, a radio guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Look at Dave Ramsey. If you want to see a radio guy that's doing apps and podcasts right, look at his app. Because he does exactly that. You can log in if you're a member and listen, or you can just sign up right there through iTunes. Being a monthly guy, $19.95, wouldn't it be kind of cool if I could give you a weekly for $4.95?
Exactly.
I can do that very effectively on an app. A little harder on the website, although Infusionsoft handles it very well for me, but we'll likely end up doing that.
That's brilliant. And you don't see anybody doing that. I just thank you for sharing that, because that really is powerful on what you can do with an app. And the other thing that's important too is that your listeners, they don't have to download and try to scroll through their phone with everything. They can just have what's streaming, and then have access to it on the back. Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
so
you really don't want to be on a kind of a podcatcher, I guess they call it. That's confusing and it's old school. You really want to have your own little button. Yeah. And here's the other thing. Apps are starting to look like websites now. And what I mean by that, they look like bad websites.
Thank you.
Okay? Yeah. So what's happened is everybody's producing bad apps, and you're all copying each other on these podcast apps. Don't be a podcast app. Nobody cares about all the stuff you're putting on there.
Right.
Let me listen, and I'm good. So our app is actually extremely simple. Oh, but Scott, you can do so much more. The one thing I am going to do that's a little bit different is we are actually designing ad space into the app for us. It's promotional space. And we're not going to put anybody else's ads on it. It's for us.
Yep.
And so most people are pushing notifications up.
Yep.
We're not going to do that. We're just going to have an ad there, and every time you come up, something else will be there, depending on what my current promotion is. And they're also going to design a screen that won't be a blog, it won't be a news, it's a promotion screen. It's something to make me a celebrity. It's a picture of me getting ready for a show or whatever I'm doing. Boom, It's just there. And what that does is it solidifies the celebrity effect that I have in people's mind. And then when they look at it, they go, wow, look, this guy's doing this and this and this. Then they listen to me and they hear the same thing. And it just puts a whole picture in their head that ups my value.
That's true.
So we're thinking kind of a different level, and you really have to look at what everybody else is doing. I'm telling you, run the other direction.
Right.
It's use what's working. Be best practice in every way. And this has been mapped out already. But in terms of really getting successful, you have to be best practice not among the podcasters, but among the broadcasters and the marketing people. You got to blend the model.
Exactly. This is just absolutely brilliant. It's amazing what you're talking about here and what you've got set up. So let's talk about, what do you suggest? What are some of the best tools that you have for entrepreneurs getting started today? Because you've built your business from just launching the podcast and built it upon that. But what do you see as some of the missing pieces to help people get started?
Automation. Now I've always been through this. We were automating before automation was cool. To quote a Barbara Mandrell song from a long time ago. Yeah, I was in radio. Mac, Apple has this program called Automator. So we're doing 16 programs a week. We have to post them on Expression Engine. We figured out a way to drag these things into a folder on the desktop and hit one button and run a script, and it tags, formats, puts everything in place, and spits it back out for us. We post 16 shows in probably about 15 minutes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's very, very refined. And the reason we set our system up, we just moved over. We still use Expression Engine in the background because it's connected fairly well to a member, which has a few members still on it. Mm-hmm. But it also handles memberships really, really well. I don't suggest people use it unless you want to kind of dig into it. It's a great program, but it's very different. But everybody else is on WordPress.
Right.
My new website will actually run on WordPress. Because that'll give me some options I haven't had before.
Right.
So number one thing that I would suggest people do, first off, if you're going to get going, if you want to do okay, let's go podcasting. Are we talking podcasting or entrepreneurship, or what are we doing?
I'd say entrepreneurship, just flat out with that, because not everybody, yeah.
Okay, USP, know what the heck you're selling. Why should somebody buy something from you?
Yep.
Know what your deal is. If you can't explain it in about 5 seconds, buzzer goes off, next guy wins. Okay, that's it. So know exactly what you're doing, and then stay on that. Constantly stay on that. Now, what you're looking for is, as you put that out the door, you're looking to get a hit. Michael Masterson wrote in Ready, Fire, Aim, he's built $300 million companies. Now, basically, he said this: your job is to create something that people want to give you money for, that you can sell and they give you money. As soon as you can establish that they give you money, then what do? You go find more people to give you money for the same product. You do that till you get $1 million. Only when you get $1 million, you can expand. Now, I will tell you, I actually made the mistake. I didn't read the book for like 4 years. I should have. Because what happened to me was what happens to everybody in every single business. You come on board, you start saying your model works. My model is this: I create kind of a giveaway program. I loss leader that into my membership site, and the numbers grow.
Right.
But here comes coaching. And here comes, hey, come to Australia and speak for 16 days. All right. And I lose money for 16 days while I'm on the road. I did all that stuff. And the coaching money, I mean, my coaching fee is $5,000 a month. Mm-hmm. I just walked away from 4 clients. It's $20,000 a month I walked away from. Why do you think I walked away from that?
Because your plan of what you already have to stay focused with what you're building.
Because now I can take all that energy, put it into the daily product that I do, build my 1995s, and we've replaced about half of it already just on memberships. So driving it hard like that. So stay focused. So whatever your USP is, know your market, know your message, know your medium, stay on track with it. Mm-hmm. Have a plan to monetize it, a real plan. And what is the only reason for monetization? You get to eat. But the only reason anybody will ever give you any money is because you actually know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. If you cannot transform people, I talk to coaches all the time. I have some coaches probably listening to this program. Can you grab somebody, telephone, in person, on Skype, whatever, and can you transform their life?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Well, I could talk to them. I have a lot of good questions. No. Can you transform them? Can you?
Yeah.
If the answer is yes, you got a business. So what I would do is this. I would know what I'm doing. I would find that method of getting my customers in the door, because that's number one. Always get new customers. I teach my daughter this. My daughter is spending all her time retaining my customers. I appreciate that. I said, trust me, they love me. Most are going to stay anyway. Let's get new people. And so new people, the lifeblood of a business. Keep bringing them in, bringing them in, bringing them in. But stay focused on what your core product is. And big suggestion, that may change. That may change. Most people are not going to be able to do what I do. But you can make $250,000 a year being a good coach or being a consultant. You can do that. And so we have to know what the model is.
Exactly.
You know, and follow best practice. But you know, gosh, it's there's so much stuff out there. Another word of advice is spend some money. I mean, Kris is a consultant and she does this. I help and I'll talk to you. Spend some money. I spend $1,800 a month to be a member of a mastermind that I'm in. My wife was like, "What are you spending $1,800 a month to be in a mastermind?" I said, "Because I make about $5,000 on that $1,800."
Exactly.
That's it. And I hang out with people who know what the heck they're doing. I can pick up a phone call and say, "Hey." So spend some money. If you haven't hired Kris, hire Kris. Get her stuff. I know nothing about what you. Well, I read your website. That's all. Don't worry. I do it to everybody. Hire somebody. Spend some money. It will accelerate your growth. Don't be cheap.
Yeah.
You know, set yourself up right. Don't get a cheap domain at GoDaddy. Get something real. HostGator, I love, by the way.
Yeah.
Hey, I maxed it out the other day. Yeah. I got the email. Your site is over limit. Oh, awesome. I don't use HostGator. We actually we're on Amazon now.
Oh, you are? Yeah. We talked about that before.
We're on the big old cloud.
Yes.
We're on a content delivery network in 4 nodes around the world.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's cool.
It is. It really is.
Like you get all geeked out about that.
Well, it's just so cool. I mean, I just love how, you take something from nothing and you build this worldwide and how we can reach people today. It just blows my mind. It really does.
I'm only in first gear, by the way.
Yeah. We're just getting started.
Let me do that. I know we've been long on this. Are you going to edit this at all, or are you just going to let them listen?
I think I'm going to let them listen. I love it.
See, here's the thing. Obviously I'm a kind of glasses half full kind of guy.
Yeah.
And if I ever see it as half empty, I just fill it up again. It's like, there's always more water. Throw some lemons in it, a little bit of Splenda, you got some lemonade, right? It's like, I just got to keep doing that. And I don't know any other way than to keep moving.
Yeah.
I can't get down on myself. I don't know any other way. When I developed my business, I had to develop it from just my core because there was nothing else. I was grieving. And dating too, by the way, which I don't recommend. Hard to do.
Yeah.
Because I remarried very quickly. It took me about 5 years to get very clear in my business. A lot of people, I've taken a lot of heat, a whole lot of heat.
Yeah.
While I built the business really well, I've ignored a lot of people. I've been kind of hiding, doing my thing, which probably helped me build the business.
Yeah.
Scott, why didn't you write your book? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just doing what I do. I show up and do my podcast every week.
Yeah.
I'll trade bank statements and I work half a day a week. How about you? Truthfully, I work much more than that. But I could go months and just do a half a day a week.
Yeah.
Because it's so automated. But what happens is this. You dig in, you go through, you get a little success, it kind of goes up, and then you hit the Seth Godin dip. It goes down. Every business comes up, then it goes down. Mm-hmm. And when you go down, if you have a sucky podcast, you better admit it and get out of it. Mm-hmm. If you have a good podcast, now you got to build your automated systems, you got to build your marketing systems and everything else and begin to climb up the hill again. As you climb up the hill again, your growth begins and it keeps on going and going and going until you hit the point where you can't grow anymore.
Right.
But there is that time when you have to kind of figure it out. So I actually thought I was in the dip for a while. I thought, oh my gosh, this is not going to work, even though it was working. Mm. And because we had to kind of get through it, it was hard to figure it out. The technology is really difficult to master, especially back then.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got a tech guy that I pay 20 hours a week just to keep it all going. Mm-hmm. And so it comes back up. And I get to the point now where I'm like, okay, next level. What's the next level? Scott, go out and coach more. I said, no, I don't want to do that. Yeah. I said, I really like to go speak. I like to keynote. I don't care about platform sales. I'm actually really good at getting out there on stage and selling, but I actually like to keynote stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm just kind of really concerned about, I hate appointments. I do. And I'd rather just not have to do very many of them. Because appointments get in the way, riding the motorcycle, riding the Jeep, put my boots on, going out on my bike, flying the airplane, all that stuff. That's life to me.
Yeah.
And that's what I designed my life for. One thing you'll find if you listen to me constantly is that I absolutely am diligent about planning my life the way I want it.
I love that.
And I don't know why I got that way. I think my wife died, and I was like, why not?
Yeah.
And so I tend to do that. But now what's happening the next stage, if you want to know, is the book that I've been promising to write. We picked up a publisher about 6 weeks ago.
Yay, congratulations.
And their editing team came in, and they met me, and they came in, and they said, okay, we're going to help you do this thing. I said, good, because I can talk, but I can't write. So my problem is I have a very interesting story, and it's about 6,000 podcasts long.
Yeah.
And so we are hunkered down right now writing the book.
Oh, fantastic.
And the foundation of the website is enterprise level. We have to change the front end a little bit. The book will come out, and you'll probably see me release that book. You'll probably see me then really ramp up the promotion and really begin to get out and have some fun. And really, all it's really truly about, very simple, is at 1995, I'm doing what nobody else does. And I really want to go out there and basically take the Tony Robbins of the world and say, you go ahead and charge your $10,000. I know it's easier to get rich real fast if you do that, but I have something else in mind. Mine is to go out and help a whole bunch of people and do some good.
Yep.
And I'll be compensated for it, as I have been. So I figure 100,000 members would make me pretty happy. Actually, my goal is 50,000.
Well, I see that totally happening, obviously, but yeah, just what you've created on the inside. I mean, it truly is. I mean, everything for $20, what you have in a membership site, I've paid over $10,000 for.
Serious?
Oh yeah. And not gotten the same return, because I haven't gone through everything yet in there, but a lot of the stuff that I've looked through, oh yeah, because I mean, there's a lot of people out there that sell big ticket because they can do it, they can sell it, but they don't know how to train, they don't know how to teach, they don't know how to get people implemented. So I'm really excited for what you've created, and for people just to go check it out. I mean, the membership site, 7 days free, and you get $20.
$10,000, because I spent somebody asked me, we were actually at an event. And they were raising the hand. This is events. They do this. It's a platform sales event. Pitch.
Yeah.
Raise your hand. Who spent $10,000 on personal development? I know you're getting us ready to spin, right? So hand goes up. Who spent 20? Hand go up. By the time you get about 80 or 90, hands are down.
Yep.
Well, I crossed about 150.
Yeah.
And I think I bowed out about 160. I thought that's a legitimate, all I can really remember really spending on learning. And I'm watching two other guys in the room, and they got to almost $500,000.
Yeah. And
then you know what happened? Because I stood up so long, all of a sudden 25 people came over. Yeah, I saw your hand up. You want a JV? That's not how you get me to JV with you.
Right. What?
Oh, you buy me coffee, kiss me first, okay?
That's hilarious.
Guys, if you want to do JVs with people, get to know people.
Yeah.
Because what I do is and if you get to know me real well, I will introduce you to my audience.
Yeah.
I will make you an expert. I will endorse you, and then they will naturally buy from you.
Yeah.
But I will never just send an email. We don't do that.
Yeah.
Have you been on the Marketer's Cruise, by the way?
No, I haven't done that yet.
I did that last year.
Yeah. How'd you like it?
And the boys had a great time. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun. But that's how I involve myself. I'm a GKIC Dan Kennedy member.
Yep.
Do a lot of work with them.
Yep.
Ton of that stuff. And involve myself in figuring out ways to step outside the box of what other people are doing and put on kind of a different suit and then make that work.
Right.
Works really well.
Yeah, no, it does. And the reason I talk about that with just my experience because everything I buy, I always will get value out of it. I'll figure, I'll learn what isn't working or what does or anything that I can pick up from. But what I like about you, and I just read a book, if you've read Great Leads, it's talking about one idea, keep it simple, and have them take action. And that's what people want today. We're in the ADD culture, the scan culture. They want it now and just something they can implement. And I think that's the biggest piece because like you say, once you get moving, you're going to take off. You just got to stay moving. So I love it. It's brilliant.
Well, I didn't start with the Daily Boost idea. I started with, life begins when you move and, stand up, take a step, repeat and all that stuff.
Right.
And when I came up with the Daily Boost, it took me a lot of years before I said, let's do the fitness boost.
Yeah.
And then suddenly here comes the business boost. And before you know it, I'm giving your life a boost.
Yeah.
And it just kind of evolved.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll go any further than that on the whole boost thing.
Yeah.
I didn't start with the 9-minute thing. Lately, I just wrote a letter today, or a sales letter, because we're repositioning the website. And what we're beginning to do in this ADD culture is simply saying, nobody has hours to listen to a podcast or motivation.
Yeah.
But you have 9 minutes.
Yeah.
And because of my skill I've acquired over the years, I can pack more into 9 minutes than most people will do in an hour.
Yeah.
And so we're positioning really against that right now. That's the way it's heading. There's an interesting little topic here that is coming. The age of personal development in terms of clients, if you're listening, if you're a business owner and particularly if you're doing a podcast and you're trying to make it too easy for your clients, you're doing them an incredible disservice. You've got to teach them. You've got to put them in a situation of being willing to learn. I get people on the phone all the time, and they want me to coach them and just tell them how to do it. And I said, I can't. I could try to tell you, but you know how many moving parts are in this thing?
Right.
You have got to dig in, put the time in. Mm-hmm. It's going to take you 1.5 to 2 years to make a dime. You've got to do it.
Yep.
You have got to learn. And there's a culture right now. It's pervasive in this country where people they want the blue pill, the quick fix, and you'll never get what you want without doing that, because the guy that actually knows how to do it will always beat you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I know it's frustrating. I really know that. Sometimes spend some money, because you can come to a guy like me or Kris or whoever, and you can get this wonderful shortcut, really figure out what's happening, but you've got to learn it. You've got to get this thing down in your heart and soul. Brian Tracy says, if you're going to write a book, know 1,000 words for every one you're going to write down.
Wow. Yeah.
If you're going to do a podcast, know 1,000 words for every one you're going to say. When somebody asks you a question, have 5 answers.
Exactly.
Not one. Not say we'll get back to you. I actually said the other day, I have to get back to you on that. I was like, wow, one I didn't know.
What they ask you?
I have no idea, but I have a very special skill, and that is I'm actually a pretty good actor. So if I don't know it, I'll say it in such a way that you won't know I don't know it.
Right.
Yeah, you think I answered the question. I should be in politics.
Yes, you should.
But truthfully, you really have to be the expert, and if you're not truly an expert, you're going to get knocked down.
Yeah.
You are. And if you get a guy like me who's going to come at you, listen, I'm a shock jock. I would burn down radio stations to win. And to say I'm a little competitive is a little scary. I have one competitor who keeps trying. He's fading, and he's hung on for years.
Yeah.
But he's fading, and the reason he's fading is because he keeps copying me. You can't copy me. By the time you copy me, I'm six moves down the road.
Yeah.
I reinvent my business about every 18 months.
Yeah.
I turn it around and do something new.
I love
That's what you got to do to survive.
Yeah. And to have fun with it, too. I mean, it keeps you growing and keeps you moving forward.
Have a good time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've taken so much of your time already. I just have one last question for you. So for everyone that's listening, I like to call it the 5-minute makeover. So it's $1 million question. If you had to start over today from scratch, you didn't know anyone, you had none of your network, and you didn't have the resources that you have today, what would you do to rebuild your empire?
Empire?
Yes!
I've got an empire. Yeah, well, make sure it doesn't have an American Express this time. Well, they gave me that darn Platinum Business Express, and it was like, is it just me, or is it slipperier than the other cars?
Oh, it's
got me into Paul McCartney just like that. Okay, so I'm going to rebuild my business from scratch. Well, the lessons I've learned are, you got to stay right at your core of strength and talent. You cannot succeed if you're trying to be anything but who you are. And to quote Sally Hogshead and the Fascinate Lady, have you seen her work?
Oh, amazing.
Awesome
I just met her, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I did too. How to Fascinate. She does her thing about how the world sees you.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not your standard everyday motivational speaker. I rock the world, and they look at me like, I'm not even a speaker. I just live in that world.
Yeah.
Because the more that I go out there and rebel and be who I am and have a good time with a big heart and soul, people are attracted to me. Mm-hmm. So if I had to start over again, and I had no resources, can I have a laptop?
Yeah. You can have a mini laptop, a little one, yes.
Okay. Here's what I know. Put me on the street, any street corner in this world. Somebody in some shop somewhere needs a willing participant. He needs somebody who will walk in there with energy and enthusiasm and will help him. Mm-hmm. And if not the first guy, you'll find it in 5 or 6 shops. Somebody will need your help, because everybody else that comes in is a dummy. And if you walk in willing to add value, willing to work for whatever they work, you'll get money. If you keep doing that, you'll get more money. You just keep raising your value. So if I had nothing to start with, that's what I would do. I'd go out there and I'd find a way, frankly, I'd probably find a way to create something of value with my knowledge, walk in the door and say, I can get you #1 on iTunes.
Right.
Boom. And I'm there. By the way, I need a computer. Can I borrow yours?
Yes.
Brilliant. I would launch it, and immediately when I launched it, I positioned myself as an expert. I wouldn't launch trying to do a 1995 site. It takes too long to get going.
Right.
I would launch as an expert, and I pitch myself in the thousands. I would go fishing for the whale. Mm. I would go, because I can only get the whale, though, if I have an affinity with the whale. I can only get the guy that can give me $10,000 or $20,000 if he just feels me. Right. And so I got to be myself. Mm-hmm. And so I'm teaching what I know best. I'm being myself completely, and I put the pitch out there. And he calls me on the payphone because I don't actually own a phone. And so I stop in. Yeah, what's up? And yeah, I heard you on this podcast. Yeah, I didn't hear it. I don't have a phone. So, and we would do a deal.
Yeah.
And it really is that simple. That's what I say. Marketers own the world. So guys, if I really were to sum this up, it's really simple. And it's so hard to do. Sit down and evaluate your core strength, whatever it is. What if somebody said you're so good at that nobody does any better than you? And then say, okay, how do I monetize that? Where's the money? There are a billion people in this world that are doing it already. Look at them. Copy them. And go do it. It doesn't take long. And stand in your value and know what you're worth.
Yeah.
Because we are worth a lot, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can go rebuild real fast. Was it John Lennon? One of the Beatles used to say, I think I'm going to write myself a swimming pool. People said, what are you going to do? He said, I'm going to write a song. I want a new swimming pool. So yeah. I say, right now, I'm actually writing myself a new airplane, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm writing myself a new airplane. I want to buy an airplane. I've not been able to justify it. And because they're expensive to maintain and everything.
Yeah.
But the one I want is $684,000 brand new, and Scott only buys new. I don't buy used because while I do good podcasts, I can't fix a darn thing. So I want a new one, and I've decided the only way to get that and to justify it is to create something that will bring enough value so that I can legitimately bring some change to people's lives, and they will exchange it with a little bit of money.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go and I'm going to buy my airplane. I think it'll take me a year.
What kind of plane are you going to get?
I want a Cirrus SR-22, and I want the brand new one, which is really funky and cool.
Yeah.
Now, I called him one time and said, would you mind, sponsoring my podcast? And we don't do that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to try to get him, though. I'm going to try to get him, because I actually have a market that would go for that.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I've never done advertising on my podcast.
That's what
from you. I can make a lot of money.
Yeah, I like though that you haven't done that though, because it's a model based on your content and what you've done. But yeah, you can make a ton of money if you do it right and set yourself up. Which you have
it's a different model. It's a different. Anybody who's thinking about doing advertising, it's a you're in a different business when you do that.
Yep.
And you have to decide to be in the ad business.
Yep.
Or to give away 30% of your income to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And once you're in the ad business, you are being controlled by the people that are advertising with you. I am kind of, because I have a membership site, but I have to kind of please them. But I'll talk all day. But one last thing, at least from my part, unless you want more. But I always remember that if you're trying to please everybody, you will not ever succeed.
Yeah.
You must divide and conquer. If somebody is raving about you and they love you and you're the best thing in the world, you are going to get complaints on the other side. When that is happening, you're succeeding.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're getting more complaints, then it's not working. So the trick is to find people who will just love you to death, be willing to tell the others that aren't a good fit to go away. I do fire members.
I love that. I love that.
I do, for $20. They said, you're going to fire me for $20 a month? I said, yeah, it's the principle.
Yeah.
I didn't want you to listen to my stuff. You don't like me. What are you listening to me for? I had a guy one time just a few weeks back that sent me an email on a Friday night, and it was not a nice one. He'd been a member for 2 years. And my first thought is when I get an email from somebody, listen, I'm a coach. You listened to me for 2 years.
Yeah.
And what you just said to me, I'm thinking, do you listen to me? Do you think I'm actually going to take this from you?
Right.
Come on, I'm going to do some woo stuff on you. You're in trouble now. And so I wrote back like 4 letters, didn't send one of them. I said, I understand, I appreciate it. Nice customer service letter, right? Boom, I got fired back on again. He hit me 3 times.
Oh.
Now
please.
my wife handles customer service around here. She says, I think you need to take the gloves off this time. And so I did. And I sent back a note. I told him pretty much what I thought of him. I said, you are banned from my website. I'm refunding your money. You are not allowed to be here anymore unless you apologize to me in person on the telephone by noon tomorrow.
Ooh.
And within about 30 seconds, I got an email back. And yes, I'll be happy to get on the phone. Are you available now? He has been the best listener ever since.
That's great, though. See, I love that the confrontation. You have to know your value and not put up with crap, and I love that.
You have to, because everybody these days is putting up the crap, and we're so politically correct these days.
Yep.
Nobody will do it. I don't try to hurt people, but listen, if
right.
you're a schmuck, you're a schmuck. I'm sorry. And I can't be the motivational kind of guy that everything is positive, happy. The reality is, if you got your head stuck in the sand and pretending, I'm going to kick you in the butt.
Right.
So what I like to do is I'll stick my head in the sand, realize I don't like it, pull it up and go, okay, here I am. I'm now grounded. It's like being at the mall. You're at the mall. You don't know where you are. What are you going to do with your life? You're completely lost. Well, I'm at the mall. I know how to find the cookie place and Victoria's Secret. That's all I know how to find. Because one keeps me married, the other keeps me happy. And so what I do is, if I'm at the mall and I'm totally lost, I go to that big directory thing.
Yep.
You know what it says? What do I look for at that big directory?
You are here.
You are here! Boom! Where's that little dot? And once I know where I am, good, bad, indifferent, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I can go from there.
Yep.
I can do anything.
Yep.
So I ground people in that. And a lot of people these days don't want to be grounded there.
Yeah.
They don't. They don't. There is more wealth being created in this country right now in the the upper and the upper middle class and the upper class. More wealth than you can imagine.
Yeah, I can't. It's
the mass affluent and the affluent are growing like crazy. The people with no money, they're getting richer. People in the middle being wishy-washy, being nice, getting slammed.
Yep.
I choose not to play that game.
Yeah.
But we can help a lot of other people, make some money and change some attitudes along the way. Number one thing about this is it's all changing your mindset. It's just bringing in this information until it's on such overload. Mm-hmm. It's like people are building 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. They put 25 pieces in the puzzle. They don't have the cover to tell them what it looks like, and they think they know how to do something.
That's a good.
Well, you better get a picture to look at, see what you're building to begin with. And if you don't, you're going to have to build half the puzzle before it starts to make sense to you. Right. So load your head with all this kind of stuff until it starts to make sense to you. Then you become an expert. Then you can start swimming with everybody and start making money.
Yeah. I love that analogy. Oh, I can't wait till your book comes out.
My jigsaw?
Yeah.
I should write that down. I that wasn't planning to be in the book.
No, write that down because that's brilliant. I mean, it really does help people see because that's what's happening. Especially, I mean, I'm all about get in and get started. Ready, aim, fire, or aim, shoot. I always mess that up. But get going. But then you have to at least understand what you're building. And like what you said, you have crafted everything around the lifestyle you want and get familiar with that, and then have the right business plan. But have that information around you constantly.
Yeah. And don't go for perfection. Just go.
Right.
Just go.
Yep.
It's amazing how I can't tell you how much I mess up, and I build it right into the program.
Yeah.
I just keep going. People who love you. They don't care.
Yeah.
But the number one thing that I do is you have to remember that I said early on in this program that as long as I do my podcast right, I won't lose. So I have an iron grip on that. It never gets messed up.
Right.
If something gets posted improperly, you don't want to be around me.
Yeah.
When we all our tech guys all know, do not mess my podcast up.
Yep.
And because that's the core product that people rely on.
Right.
And as long as I deliver that, and frankly, the less I work at it, the better they are because I just kind of relax into it.
Yeah.
And don't overwork it. Just be who I am, and yet give them what I know they need. And stick with that. Everything else takes care of itself. And then you just got to show up for work every day and just do a little bit more to move yourself forward.
Yeah.
Find what's working and just stick on it. Just stick on it and just make it work. And if it stalls, fine. It's going to stall. Mm-hmm. I stall all the time. We were losing members for a couple of months. I was like, okay, what's going on here? Mm-hmm. By the way, big piece of internet advice. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
If you're doing something successfully and suddenly it stops, look at what you last did and undo it. Mm. I'm telling you, go back one step. It is that predictable. The scalability of the internet is awesome. As soon as something stops working, you did something. You changed a word, you changed a link, something happened. Every single time something goes wrong, I'm like, what's going on?
Right.
And we'll dig into the system and we'll find, something went haywire somewhere, somebody changed a setting, it blocked people coming in the door, something like that. And we fix it and the faucet turns back on.
That's great.
Every single time. So move slowly, take a step at a time. Make sure it works. If anything ever stops cold, don't freak out. Look around and say, what did I do? Correct it. It'll probably go on again. If it doesn't go on again, you probably are in a probably a little marketing shift now. You probably have to do something to get a surge. Mm-hmm. And remember, if you don't market or advertise, you're going out of business. Forget free SEO stuff. You're going out of business. Mm-hmm. You need to market yourself. Mm-hmm. And do that, you'll be good. Listen to me go. 2 hours, girl.
I know.
Oh my God.
I could keep going. This has been awesome. So I gotta let you go. But
yeah, whatever. I don't have actually anything to do. I tell you, I bought a new Jeep. I have to go ride that.
Oh, what kind of Jeep did you get?
I got a Wrangler. I always wanted one. I was looking at. I tell everybody I don't have a bucket list because I've done everything on my bucket list. So I'm trying to create a new bucket list. I thought I don't have a Jeep. And I've only had we've had one car for 5 years. Yeah. And so I went down to the Jeep dealership and I said. Maybe I'll buy a Jeep.
They're fun.
And I decided that maybe I might use some of my negotiating skills. And I'm not real strategic, so typically I don't do that. But I decided this time I would. And all I did was I held them to their word. Every time they said, if we do this, will you do that? I go, And I never let them back up. And I just stole the darn thing. It was great.
That's awesome.
Now I got a Jeep. It's cool.
Oh, I love it. Jeeps are super fun.
Yeah, if I lived in Colorado, I'd have a Jeep. I have to move there. Now I have a Jeep.
Yeah. Have you been down to the sand dunes?
I've been nowhere.
Oh, you got
I've been to Daytona Beach in my Jeep.
Yeah, you totally have to go up here for that stuff. It's so much fun. And then you get the dune buggies there. But jeeping around here, oh my gosh, it's awesome.
All right, I'm coming to Colorado, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Now the Western office of Motivation to Move.
Yes, exactly. Well, awesome. Well, tell everybody where they can find out about you.
Go to motivationtomove.com and you will see a big picture of a lady on my website. And I don't even know who she is, but it was an expensive picture. So go there. You can listen to the podcast. You can also go over to iTunes and you can click on or search the Daily Boost, and that's a program there. Listen, so you have 5 or 6 programs over there. But I would suggest you at least go to motivationmove.com, download the top 10 motivational truths. If you're not into podcasting, it really is a good program. You're going to get a lot out of this. I know it's been downloaded like 50,000 times now. It's crazy. It's in the upper 40s. If you are into podcasting, download it. And if I were you, I would actually join. Because if you do, you're going to see how the whole system works. Give me $20, you'll learn a lot. And I'll make you a promise too. If you are in podcasting and you feel like you want to spend some time with me on the phone, if you join, and if you actually give me $20, just shoot me a note. We'll get on the phone, and I'll share some time with you. I make this offer every time I do this interview. Guess how many people follow up?
Not many.
The last time I did it, 2 people so far.
2? That's it?
That's it.
Oh, you guys, you got to get on the phone with Scott. I mean,
that audience. I think they had 30,000 in the audience, and 2 people followed up.
Really?
Yeah. I will tell you. Here's how you do it. Just do the whole thing, and if you do that, and that's again, you call me before and you haven't given me any money. I have to. It's a qualifier somewhere.
Yeah.
Get me on the phone, and then if you hate me and you hate what I do, just contact support. We'll give your money back. I don't care. I just got to qualify you and make sure you're like legit. All right. If you just want to talk to me for free, I don't want to talk to you. So, but the best way to get me is send a ticket to support@motivationtomove.com. I get a lot of email, and I'll probably not see it. So send it to support, and the girls will track me down, and I will respond to you. That's how you got through to me.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's the best way to do it. It just works.
Perfect.
So, yeah, that's how we do it. And I'll help anybody I can. I help you like crazy because you seem like a cool person.
Well, thank you. Well, it's been amazing connecting with you. I mean, that first email right back, I mean, you're so personable. I just love what you've built. So this will all be in the show notes for everybody, where to find out Scott. And then when your new book launches, I'll have another, hopefully I'll get him back on the podcast to talk more about that. Yeah. But
I'll be asking for that then, yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally.
This is fun. I appreciate you asking. This is fun to do. It's fun to have the knowledge of this industry and to be able to actually get out there and help some people with it.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of a cool place to be. I'm humbled by it because I actually just don't even know kind of what I know. I just do it every day.
Yeah.
And it's nice I'm actually very, very surprised when I talk to people in the industry, whether it be podcasting or speaking, the level of knowledge that I have here. Really surprised by it. And so, yeah, I hope that didn't come across sounding like bad.
No, I think I just want to make sure people know that they can get started with this. I mean, even just to podcast to learn how to start speaking and gain confidence is one of the things that can help people. So it's not that they have to be a perfect person yet with broadcast background or anything.
You're not going to be for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Start, but understand that, start it and just get going. Use it whatever way you can. Learn to communicate. That's a thread throughout my life. Learn to do that, and you will never go hungry.
Yeah.
Now, whether you build a complete podcasting business, listen, that's not for everybody. When you finally do 16, 18, 20 shows a week, like a production company like we are, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and it's not for everybody. But like what you're doing, or like what other people are doing, you could use it for anything.
Yeah.
It could be the base of your business.
Yeah.
Brings in so many leads.
It does. Well, the connections, that's why I originally started a podcast, was just to get connected with some of the other speakers and build that platform. So, yeah, it's brilliant. So I could keep picking your brain all day, but this is great. So thank you so much for joining us, and I will have everything posted here very soon for the show.
You are very welcome. I enjoyed it.
And I hope you enjoyed that episode. I'd love to get your feedback here for the Lifestylepreneur podcast right in iTunes. Simply leave us a 5-star and a review letting us know what you like, who you're interested in hearing more from, and what topics you really want help with in your business, that I can bring on those key experts to really fine tune and help you in your business and creating the lifestyle of your dreams. And I'll be giving shout outs, so make sure you put your name and your website address if you want me to share that with the community as well. And again, thanks for listening. I'm so excited that you found the Lifestylepreneur podcast, and I can't wait to connect with you and learn more about your business as we continue to grow this community. So again, have a great day, and I'll talk to you next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Lifestylepreneur podcast. Again, I'm Kris Gilbertson, and I'm committed to bringing you top training from leading lifestylepreneurs all over the world to help you break through and turn your dreams into your ideal lifestyle. And make sure to join us at www.lifestyleacademy.com to receive VIP training from specific guests I interview on the show, so that you can really easily start to implement what you've learned from listening. I know we're all busy, and sometimes we don't have time to listen to the entire podcast or take notes, because I'm always listening on the go. So I like to call it the Lifestyle Cliff Notes to creating your ideal business and make it really simple for you. So those will be sent via the email list. Plus, I also want to connect with you personally, and being on the Lifestyle Academy mailing list is where all the magic happens. We'll host VIP trainings once a month that we can't always bring out on the podcast with even more detailed information. And I also want to connect with you personally. I want to know what's going on in your business and what you need help with, and who I can bring on to aid you in creating your ideal lifestyle. And so I'll be asking questions every once in a while that I want you to reply, and I reply back to you personally. So again, until next time, wishing you on your way to achieving all of your dreams. Talk to you soon.